Excuse me. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Eddie Barrios from the Bronx. As I said yesterday, I had a couple of friends from two of them are from the West Coast Black Theater Troupe, and one of them is a native from Atlanta who owns a business not too far from the theater. So they went to the show um, as a gift from me and sort of a favor from me. He went and took a tour of the buddies that came to visit Atlanta, again from the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. So, this is what he wrote about last night's show. All his words. I went to the show at the White Label. It's basically a space used mostly for private parties and very small banquets. I personally rented this space last year to entertain a group of clients from California, mostly the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. He goes on to say that he paid $1,500 for a full day. That price included setup and cleaning. He's here talking about stuff, but I don't think it's relevant. He said, I believe Rashida rented this space for a couple of hours, according to my conversation with a manager who I personally know. About $150 an hour with a 2 hour minimum, with a cleanup fee of about $65. The space is very small. I'd say it's about 1,400 square feet. No stages, a beautifully white painted room with a great sound system and a few TV screens. There were no armed guards at this venue. You asked me specifically to see if there were armed guards, and there were none. There was, however, a small staff. Miss Rashida Strober's performance was meager at best. Some of her characters were a tad better than others. All of her characters were victims of one thing or another. As a black troupe, we have to say her emphasis on dark skin was over the top, as well as overwhelmingly to the point of boredom after the first few minutes with each character. The problem today with black artists is they want to interject their personal feelings and life's trauma into their works. The problem with that is most black people have the same exact problems. So this is the reason why we see so much of the exact same showmanship and content when it comes to these type of black shows and movies. There is a lot of lack of originality. This is not new. This is where the lack of originality comes in. This is not new. This has been ongoing in the black community for decades. We all mostly suffer the same. We all mostly have encountered racism since birth. We all mostly have been destitute, poor, hungry, and disenfranchised. Wow. And he says, okay, back to the show. Some seemed content with her performance, but the majority had no expressions at all. There weren't enough people there to really analyze the audience response or acceptance of her performance. At times she was funny, and then all of a sudden obtuse. I would give her performance a 4 or a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. I saw no originality in her performance. Her performance not only lacked originality, it lacked the attention of the audience. It didn't have that pop that you would love to see from a live performance. I also don't think she put too much thought into the wardrobe for her show. It was a bunch of rags and terrible wigs put together, to me seemed like last minute. This wasn't worth the price of the ticket. I've watched street performers at Little Five Points with more flair and attention than Miss Rashida Strober's show. She has potential but lacks vision, and she desperately needs to find her own. So for everybody who don't know what Little Five Points is, this is a place in Atlanta where street performers perform. He says he's watched street performers at Little Five Points with more flair and attention than Miss Rashida's show. It's kind of harsh. This is my professional opinion. I will assume she has something that is a bit more exciting to watch than this specific show. I would hope so. I believe all artists always have more room to grow. Miss Rashida Strober has not reached a point as of yet, and that's only according to what I saw. As far as her activism online, I've only watched one of her videos, and I personally don't have any opinion on that. Laughing out loud. I'll keep that to myself. I cannot involve myself in that sort of mess. I believe some people will like what she does on stage, but I also believe not enough will enjoy her performance to make them as successful as she would like them to be. She had her bio posted in the theater, and I have to say we have never heard of her before this Atlanta show. The White Label Theater is sometimes used as a performance venue. Lots of local artists rent the space to showcase their talents. We have visited this space for the last 5 years. Some of the talent performed here are pretty good, and a lot of them are pretty bad. I won't go as far to say she was pretty bad, it just wasn't great. It wasn't a show to remember. Personally, she did too many stereotypes. Something I've seen for too many years. Every time I go see a show performance in spaces like this from black performers, it seems that they all have the same exact content in their shows, whether it's black movies or smaller shows. Seems like they rip the same pages and use them over and over again. Don't get me wrong, some people enjoy that, but I believe people are looking for something different and something new. This is something black people need to change as performers, and I'm not comparing Rashida Strober to anyone. My point is, her show shows me nothing new or even, hold up, I lost. My point is, her show shows me nothing new or even original. She lacks creativity and ingenuity. We were very unhappy how she portrays her. We were very unhappy how she portrays black people on stage, something that I've seen many times over and over again. I'd love to see her create a show that doesn't show us in these lights anymore. As black men and women, I think we can show ourselves in a better light, not because it presents us in a better light, it's because we are in a better light. When I watch these shows in Atlanta, and the majority of black shows always have the same exact plots, it seems to most people of color that all we can do to entertain each other is to shuck and jive, dance, and act like hood rats. Me personally, I don't have to go to a live show to see that. I can drive across town and watch that for free or just get online, laughing out loud. Sometimes all this blackness talk gives me such a headache because we are way more than just black. Wow. When he said, it seems to most people of color that all we can do to entertain each other is shuck and jive, dance, and act like hood rats. You know, I've always said this when I first saw Rashida Strober's show online. When I say it's full of buffoonery, I really believe it's buffoonery. I mean, these are show people here. They don't know her. They don't hate her. They're not jealous of her. They just analyze the show and giving their honest opinion. Like they said, Rashida has been boasting about armed guards online. They said there were no armed guards. They weren't even searched. There were no armed guards. I find it ironic that she would even try to place. Well, I know she wasn't going to do it. She just said it for effect. But why would you have armed guards with everything that's going on now? Why would you have armed guards in a small? It's not even a theater. It's a 14 square foot rental space. Why would you even put armed guards in there with black people around? So I knew for a fact that she wasn't going to have any armed guards present at her show. It was always set for effect, and to make her, I don't know, I guess to make herself more important than she really is. Um, and they said there was hardly anyone there. For such a small space, you would think, she would pack it in. Her show is so successful, according to her, and she is so successful, but the show was empty and no armed guards. So that is the words of some of the members of the West Coast Black Theatre Troupe. That's all I have. That's my report from good sources who attended the show in Atlanta for Rashida Strober's 7:30 show yesterday. Eddie Berrios from the Bronx. Peace out.